a beast of a division, and it's a beast of a team with the New York Mets third alphabetically, and first in some projections, second in other projections in the division. Who would you have between the Mets and the Braves? Let's just start there. Like, who are you going to pick between the Mets and the Braves?
Well, is it a week ago? Because Edwin Diaz really hurts, right? Losing their closer hurts. Brandon Nimmo, though apparently that's less of an issue. I think I saw a tweet that said, he could be ready by opening day, if not shortly thereafter. So that's important. But then look at the injury to Quintana. So I think when you look at it right now, to me, the Braves kind of have an edge. Now, the caveat with the Mets, and what I think is probably the big, 500-pound gorilla in the room, especially with Edwin Diaz out for the season, is going to be the performance of Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer, who are 38 and 40 years old. So, but they're also two future Hall of Famers, and I don't think anybody has any doubt about that. So are they going to go out, and pitch like Hall of Famers? Or are these the guys that are kind of just, they lost it and they're kind of now on the decline, right? I think that's the big thing here. And people were kind of ripping all these pitchers for not being in the WBC. But to me, if you're the Mets, you don't want Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer worth anywhere near big games right now. They need to save their bullets. Now, Justin Verlander does essentially have a new arm. Dusty Baker, I was talking to him at the winter meetings this year, and he basically said he wasn't surprised at all that, Verlander got the money that he did and wasn't worried about him living up to that contract because he's coming off a Tommy John. This is the first time that guy's blown out, though, which is crazy. Did you know that there's a direct correlation between a performance of a pitcher and how early their first Tommy John surgery is? Now, Tommy John usually buys you 3.5 to 5 seasons after the first Tommy John. So now for Verlander, you're still looking at a couple really good years. So I feel like Verlander and Scherzer, if they go out and perform, they can put the Mets on their backs, literally. If they don't
win those games 2-0.
Right. If they don't, this team's going to be in a ton of trouble. Just a ton of trouble, especially because they don't really have a solution now without Diaz. Does David Robertson close more games? Do they go out and roll the dice and sign a free agent like Zach Britton, who worked out for about 10 teams, I was told, last week?
Did you hear any velo readings?
No, I didn't get any velo readings. I was told that, he looked okay. If he looked great, somebody would have already signed him. I think, right? 10 teams watched him. I think there's still a little hesitation.
Yeah, there was a guy in the WBC who struck out 3 Dominicans and got a contract after the game. Yeah, if you look good, sometimes the teams will work fast.
Yeah, someone's going to roll the dice. Especially because, there are a lot of teams that could use a closer. The Cubs are a team that could certainly use him as well. I think any team could use a lefty sinker baller when he's in his prime. Keep in mind, Zach Britton had an American League record at one point in time. Just hasn't pitched, has been injured for quite a while.
It's just unlikely that they're going to find a closer that way. And then, with every team has like optimism going into the season, wants to be like, yeah, we put our best team together. Like the Reds don't want to trade their closer, Alexis Diaz, the brother of Edwin Diaz. They don't want to trade him before opening day, do they? I
don't know, though. The Reds have done some really unfan-friendly moves, so maybe.
Maybe. They said apparently they haven't heard from the Mets. And I think one of the things with the Mets system is that they have in Francisco Alvarez and Brett Beatty, 2 players that teams really want and that the Mets really want to keep. I would personally trade Mark Vientos, who is leading the team in plate appearances, but has an outside strikeout rate in the minors. If I was running the team, I would trade Mark Vientos for a closer, given that this is a team that is projected to be in one of the top 5. They're right now the 5th best team by projections at Fangraphs, and just adding a win or 2 there would make them 3rd best or 4th. You know what I mean? Like you really move a lot when you're talking about relievers don't have that outsides of a impact on a full team. It's 26 players, blah blah blah. Yes, but when you're this good, a great reliever like Edwin Diaz is the difference between winning the division or going in as a wild card. Yes, those things do get determined by one game at the end of the season, right? And so I could see them trading Mark Vientos for somebody if the Reds come to the table. I actually would think it was a good idea, because this is obviously a team set to win now, and I don't know that Mark Vientos is a starting first baseman for a team this good. You know what I mean? Like, that's bird in the hand, that whole deal. So I would do that trade if I was them. I think that I like Tyler McGill and David
Yeah.
Peterson some, so they have some. In some ways, I like those guys better than some of the Braves' depth. However, they're already in the rotation, whereas the Braves, have depth beyond their rotation. So that's a bit of a difference where McGill is already the sixth starter and Peterson's probably the fifth. So there's that depth is getting tested already. Also, in center field, Brandon Nimmo is the center fielder. I don't think I really want Starling Marte or Mark Canha to be playing center field for me. So if that Nimmo injury lasts a little bit, you're going to see a suboptimal defensive alignment in center field, I think.
Yeah, Tyler McGill to me is the underrated guy a little bit, right? Now, if he can stay healthy, he could help cover for the Quintana injury, right? He could help that rotation kind of stay afloat, but that's a big if. But to me, you look at his numbers, you look at FIP, you look at some of the things that he's been able to do, and I think he could really help
stuff. Yeah, he's got good stuff. And this is a really good team. I think that hopefully they got their bad luck out of the way. And so, there is an element of luck, and I'm not saying that the Mets are going to depend on luck, but every championship team depends a little bit on luck. And I think that the luck that the Mets would be looking for here is health luck from that rotation that's still in there. Carlos Carrasco's had his issues. Scherzer's had some back issues. There are some health stuff there that could go the right way. But in terms of a lineup, I think they've got everything they need. I think they've added some good depth with Tommy Pham. And with Brett Beatty coming up, they have even a kind of a star young guy that could impact this team this year. And I don't know that he's going to break
Alvarez too. They've got some really, really good prospects that people are wondering, are they going to contribute to this team? They could. Yeah. There could be a shakeup at the trade deadline. They've also got unlimited resources, so they could add a legitimate major league player at the deadline already, right? Like, to me, this Mets team, like you're right, depends on a lot of luck. Their lineup's really good. It's hard to nitpick the lineup when they're all healthy.
An interesting side note, and we're supposed to be previewing the on-field stuff, but I did see some numbers from the stadium in terms of revenue, and they cleared $130 million from the stadium. So in terms of people in attendance, minus the cost of running a stadium, they cleared $130 million from attendance. That's before basically another sort of $100+ million from TV deals, national TV and licensing deals. So now you're at 230 or so, and then you've got your local advertising and local TV deal to add to the top of that. So with people really sort of worried or wringing their hands around baseball about how much the owner is spending on this team, it's not a lock that he's spending into losses. You know what I mean? Like, in fact, just knowing how businesses work, I would doubt he's spending his way into losses. I think he's just showing you what a fully operational Death Star can look like. You know what I mean? Like, he's just like, this is how much money the Mets make. I'm going to spend it, and this is what's going to look like. And sorry to other teams that don't necessarily have the same resources, but I don't think that it's evidence that baseball is broken. And just look at it. He has spent that much money, and we've just talked about a team that still needs a little bit of luck and still, isn't necessarily locked to win their division. And so it's an interesting thing. I don't think that any one team's spending tells you that baseball is broken.